Hey guys, I'm just sitting in a coffee shop here waiting to meet up with someone for a meeting, and I thought I would put a video together for you. It's been a long time since I've done one, and I've been really busy with work and stuff, so it's been tough, but I thought I'd drop this one in, so I hope you like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, well, I'm going to be doing something completely different here today. I'm still sitting in the coffee shop, and I thought I would just go ahead and record the audio and see how it goes, so you get the background noise of people drinking coffee and chatting. I just wanted to touch base with you guys and drop some videos. I've got a bunch of content that I need to get up, and it's just been hard for me to take the time to produce the videos. The content's sitting on my hard drives, and I just need to put it all together and get it mastered and then put up. So they won't all be like this one where I'm doing it on the fly at a coffee shop. I will be doing sort of the similar format as I have been doing in years, well, times past. I'll be more deliberate and be spending my time at my home studio, recording better audio for you guys, and being more thoughtful about the production itself and what I'm going to be talking about. But I thought I would spend some time here just kind of giving you an update on my processes and journey so far with Possum Awesome. So as you know, if you are my patrons, you know kind of where we're at. We're kind of in about day coming upon day 18 of Jack's life in Possumville, and some exciting things are on the horizon. He's just about to kind of start his journey at large, as it were. He's just going to be leaving town soon. I guess that's a bit of a spoiler for you guys, but you'll see how he gets there. And it's been interesting. I've been doing some more reading still about writing, and I've been thinking a lot about story structure. The process of writing this and working on it through the Patreon page has been interesting as well, because you guys are getting early look at the story before it even goes through proper editing pass. My wife, as you know, has been helping me do the editing on the first draft, just so that it's more easy to read for you. The legibility's there, and you're not stumbling over sentence structure and things of that nature. So at least the story will come to you more easily. But the story as a whole will need to go through a larger editing process, which will be more involved. And as I've been reading, for example, I'm still going through The Story Grid by Sean Coyne, which is a really in-depth and robust book on editing, writing, and it's going to be very useful in the long run for the writing process. It's going to give me more capacity to look at my stories from a structure perspective, more analytical and evaluative. I don't know if that's a proper word, but in a place of evaluation of the story. And I'll be able to examine whether or not the story is working just from a structural standpoint, apart from character beats and story beats and the exciting stuff of the world. It'll be more looking at the aspects of story, what makes a good story, what makes the story work. I've also been reading a book by Robert McKee, and it is called Storynomics. It's basically more geared towards writing and writing stories specifically for a marketing bend. So looking at writing stories that work to sell products, to inform people about what you're building, what you're trying to get out there and sell. It's a little bit more analytical and a little more utilitarian, I suppose. Not as much focused on entertaining, but more on selling and affecting people on a emotional and empathetic and a psychological level to get them to sort of perform a specific call to action. So if you're trying to sell a product, for example, you would look at how to write something so that people will buy your product. A lot of the same principles are there in terms of story structure. Robert McKee is one of the sort of foremost, I guess, contemporary writers on writing, and he's sort of helped define processes around things like basically like how your story is structured. So like your beginning, your middle, and your end, and how those pieces all come together, your different acts of the story, and the story beats, and breaking things down into smaller parts. So it's really a lot. I've been learning a lot about the idea of writing, and instead of just flying by the seat of my pants, I'm actually starting to think about my story from different perspectives, from an editor's standpoint. And so Possum Awesome is going to morph and mold and change as time goes by. What you're essentially getting through the Patreon experience is a slow burn rough draft, essentially. Most of the rough draft is written, so it's sort of like a rough and a half draft, I guess. It's like the first and a half draft that you're getting, which is pretty much my raw story, put down into a more cleaner format than it normally would be. My first draft writing is typically extremely messy and really, really wordy. I've kind of discovered that I'm a little bit of a word monster. I don't know what you describe it, but I tend to write in large volumes of words. So the portion of text that I'm editing and getting ready for the May delivery, which is like we're at the end of May here already. My time is getting away from me, but it's been a busy spring with everything with our property and 4-H with my family and stuff like that. But what I've discovered is that my tendencies with writing is to be really heavy-handed with the volume of writing that I choose. So this section that I'm going to be providing for May is around just under 5,000 words, and my goal with these is always to do chapters in about 1,500 to 2,500 word chunks. So I've got a lot of editing to do there, a lot of whittling to do, and it may be that I need to break it into 2 chapters. But the scene isn't very long, so the scene, what I want to have happen in this story delivery, the scene isn't. There's not a lot that happens. It's essentially dialogue between 2 characters. So there's really no reason for it to extend too long. It doesn't need to be like a Tolkien-esque, 4,000 word prologue where they're just talking about hobbits and Hobbiton. So I need to work on breaking that down to a little bit of a smaller, digestible chunk for you guys. And that's been one of the challenges that I've been really looking at as I've been moving forward, is being more judicious with my words and looking at what is making the story successful, rather than writing like every little detail. I'm just trying to figure out what are the details that I need to include in order for you guys to be able to get the story as it comes through. And I think it also will create more of a comfortable pacing for reading. I think it'll be, like Sean Coyne says, the chapters will become more potato chip length. So what he says is that a potato chip length scene is something that you are laying in bed at night and you read, and just as you're finishing it, you feel like you may be getting ready to go to bed, but then it wraps up and you're like, oh, you know what, that wasn't too bad. I could do another one. And so you'll find yourself, hopefully, partway through the night, you've read a bunch of chapters when you really intended to only read one. So I think pacing is really important, and I'm trying to wrap my head around that and learn how to get the pacing down. I've also, as I've been working through the story and the artwork, I've found myself becoming more comfortable with the style and more attuned, I guess, to the characters and the settings, and been feeling a little bit more bold and daring in the volume of artwork, or the challenge that I've been taking on with the artwork. So you'll see with this piece, it's not as complex as the more recent pieces, and this piece is now fairly old, right? This is from day 1 of his life, so I've got to get the other ones up too. But you can see with this one, I'm starting to push things a little bit. But I also included in that chapter, I included a few other shots from different angles. I think there was the one where he was chasing the pig, which you can see in the live stream video if you have access to that on your Patreon level. But yeah, so I'm finding myself sort of challenging myself a little bit further with the artwork, pushing myself a little harder than I have been, trying to get some more involved in a little bit more robust artwork, trying to flesh out the world visually a little bit. It's been kind of interesting. I've found that as I've been writing and drawing sort of in tandem, some of the illustrations, by the time I'm sort of finished them and then finished the writing, I'm like, shoot, that image doesn't quite reflect the edited writing. So I'm already seeing kind of some conflict between the editing, the writing, and the artwork. Down the road, I'd probably just go through and redo the illustrations, tailor them more to the finished artwork, which, in my mind is like a really unpleasant proposition because it's just so much time and effort to get them to finish to the first stage of completion. But, this is a long-term project for me. It's not something that I'm trying to just put out there in a heartbeat. It's something that's going to take a while. One of the things too, so right now, this is day one, what you're looking at here, the image for day one. And so when I was working on day one, I found that it was a little bit of work to try to wrap my head around the characters' voices. And that's been something that I've been trying to, I guess, keep consistency with, is characterization of characters. So the way that their dialogue is presented and the way that their speech sort of presents itself in patterning and in intonations. And that's something that through the editing process would likely find a lot of, I guess, tweaking and reworking to get it all consistent in the future. I don't think that's something that any author probably, I imagine every author probably has to go through a sort of a round of line editing that an editor will help them sort of make sure that all that stuff is consistent. There was a lot of stuff that I cut out from chapter one, from day one, to try and get it to a reasonable pace and length. I ended up breaking it up into 2 chapters, as you know. And I'm trying to do that, I guess, as I'm going. If the piece of writing for that day is of significant volume, I need to sort of evaluate whether I should break it up into multiple chapters, and that seems to be going okay. I think I'm kind of starting to get a hang of that. One of the things I'm going to do in the next little while here is put together the book as it is. I had a comment from one of my patrons that it would be nice to be able to have like one location where they could read the story up till now. And so I think I'm going to do that. I'll just sort of piece it together into one PDF publication, and I think I'll keep it super simple and just do a text release. You guys have access to all the imagery and all the artwork, so there's not really a need, I don't think, to include the artwork in something like that. I think I'll just put the text together so that you can, if you want to, sit down and read the story in its entirety up to like chapter 8. You can sit down and do that. So that's something that I will put together soon, and I'll make that available to all my patrons across all levels. And I guess just a quick update as this is wrapping up here, a quick update on some news items for me. My business partner and I are wrapping up the script to our graphic novel, Heroes of Harwurzel. It's about Einebrow. It's the subtitle of the piece is Brow's Quest. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but anyways, we're working on getting that packaged up. We'll be heading down to San Diego this summer to try and pitch it around to some publishers, and we're feeling really good about it. It's in a really good place, so that's coming up. Again, my wife and I will be doing an art walk in July, early part of July, in Leduc, the small town that I live in. And we will be trying to sell some of our artwork. My main push there is going to be trying to push my Patreon page. So I'm going to be trying to introduce people to Jack and the story and trying to get them interested in potentially becoming patrons of the story. So that's exciting, and I look forward to sharing the work with people and seeing what happens with that. I don't know how exactly I'm going to do that. I guess I'll have some printouts of some kind of content to give away or sell, and we'll see what the responses are like. At any rate, I'm still really enjoying the process. The story is challenging and exciting. I think I'm basically coming up to the end of the beginning hook. So a story has a beginning hook, a middle build, and climax or an end. And so right now I'm we're almost wrapping up, I believe, the first third of the story, and then we'll be moving into the middle build, which is comprises about 50% of the written length of the book in the end. So what I've written so far is about 25% of the story is what I've written up to date, and the middle build will be sort of the next 50%. So, and then the 25% will be the climax. So the middle build, there's going to be like sort of progressive complications coming in. There's going to be some stuff happening that makes things harder and more challenging for Jack. He's going to be out in the wide world and the wilderness, and that's going to present a number of new challenges and things that he hasn't dealt with, being in the comfort and cover of Possum Village and the sanctuary of the Willowson's treehouse. So that'll be interesting, kind of him interfacing with the world at large and experiencing that for the first time. I'm kind of looking forward to writing all that and seeing where it takes the character, where it takes all the characters, and where it takes the world and the story as a whole. Interweaving all these characters and all the sort of subplots and the main sort of story genre has been challenging, and it's something that I'm going to continue to strongly evaluate. Genre is another whole other thing that it sounds like from all the reading and studying that I've done that genre is sometimes your main genre for your story, and your main sort of story arc sometimes doesn't become clear until you're nearing the end or you've got into a deeper editing process. I would like to say that I have an idea of where it's going. I mean, the story genre for me is an epic fantasy, and it's an outward sort of story with there is an inward component in terms of Jack and his journey of understanding who he is, but it's mostly an external story, and I believe it ultimately deals with themes of death and dying, or going from life to death to basically non-existence. Anyways, it's getting pretty deep. So those are a lot of the things that I'm trying to think about, as I have to think about as I'm writing, and it's coming out of my studying. And I will sort of drop more of that, more chunks of that as I go. But for now, this is wrapping up, and I thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching me draw this piece. I will make an endeavor to get more videos up for you, and I thank you for your patience. And again, thank you to all my patrons for your support. I can't express my gratitude enough for you being on me in this journey and partnering with me to tell the tone of tomorrows. It's been an incredible motivator for me, and I'm just very, very grateful. So thanks very much, you guys, and until next time, be good to each other. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content, please click one of the videos on the screen. If you'd like to be notified when all my videos go up, please click the bell icon. And if you'd like to follow me on social medias, you can find me on patreon.com/Corey Lansdell. I'm at Corey Lansdell on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook as well. Until next time, you guys, be good to each other.